Hello everybody, this is Sherry at djsundry.blogspot.com. I'm happy you could join me today. Today I have a quick card tutorial for you. I needed to make some thank you notes, and so this is the card. So let's get started and see how quick this goes together. The first thing that I used was an 8.5 by 5.5 inch piece of cardstock, scored at 4 1/4 to fold in half. I then took my distressed ink in tea dye and I inked around the edges of it. I also have a mat here that is 3 3/4 by 5. I wanted a little bit more margin on the outer edge of the card than I normally put. So those are kind of the base pieces for the card. Now there's a few other things that I did. I cut some leaves, and I was using, I don't remember which cartridge I was using right now. I cut these leaves at about 2.5 inches. I'll post the link to which cartridge I was using on my Cricut. But I cut the maple leaf, and then I cut 2 of these oak type leaves. So the first thing that we want to do with that is I have my Colorbox Petal Point ink here, and I've already started with this one, and I use this darker amber color. I'm going to do this leaf right here, and I'm just inking around the edges, a little bit lighter color than the amber one. And then also what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run it lightly across the middle because I want a little bit of that color in there. This is the parchment color. And then I'm going to come around here, and I want to use a terracotta, and I want to do the maple leaf in terracotta. Again, just going around the edges, and it's pretty red, although I know maple leaves do change into vibrant colors, but it's a little more red than I would like. Again, I want to lightly go around the center. So what I'm going to do to get rid of that extra redness that I'm not really all that fond of is I'm going to again take my tea dye ink. Actually, no, we're going to use the Chestnut Roan, also from Colorbox, one of the chalk inks, and we're going to go just around the edges of that. And it kind of mutes out that redness a little bit and just gives it a little bit more of a fall hue to it. Now I also want to do that around my other 2 leaves as well. Now the paper that I'm using is from K & Company, and again, everything except for my card base itself I've used scraps for. So this is just some scraps I had in my K & Company. This had some definitions on it, almost like a dictionary page. So you see here that we've inked the edges of each of the leaf, and I just want to set those aside to dry for a second. Let's wipe off the mat, so I don't want ink everywhere. Then the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to actually be using quite a few stamps. Now this card is not complicated, but I am using a lot of stamps. So the first stamp that I'm going to use is from Hero Arts, and it's this background stamp. It's just one that I picked up at Michael's or something. It's just a little background stamp. It's about a 4-inch square, and again I'm going to use my tea dye, and I am going to ink up that stamp really well. I had originally planned to use the Chestnut Roan like I used around the edges of the leaves, but discovered that it just wasn't dark enough. I think the ink pad's getting kind of weak. So I'm just putting that in the corner. I'm going to press down good, and I just have a faint background stamp now. And I'm using textured cardstock here, and so it doesn't come really super clean on the image, but that's fine because it's just going to be a background image. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper cutter, and I'm going to cut it very close to the edge of the stamp, on all 4 sides, just leaving a very small margin around the edges. And then what I'm going to do here, again, take the tea dye Distress ink and just ink around the edges of the card. Pretty easy to do. Okay. So now we're ready to start putting the card together. Now, as I mentioned, I needed to make some thank you notes, and this is actually going to be a thank you card. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the inside of my card. Now, I have this stamp from K. Andrew Designs. This is not a stamp you can purchase. This was a thank you gift stamp for an order, and it's the Merci exclusive stamp, and it actually comes with 3 little stamps. So someone says merci and then thanks and then the little border stamp. So we're going to start with the border stamp, and I'm going to use the walnut stain distress ink, and I want it clear at the top of my card because I want to be able to write a message to the person receiving the card. So I'm just going to center that, just kind of eyeball it and center it near the top and stamp that down. And then what I'm going to do is take the thanks, got it buried over here, and just stamp that down. And it fits just perfectly inside the box. Just eyeball it again and just center it. And it says thanks. So now I have the inside that says thanks, and I left plenty of room so that I can write a little message down here. So that takes care of the inside of the card. So let's move right back out to the front and let's get this card finished up here. So the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere this background image onto the top of my orange colored mat. I'm just going to use my ATG to do that, and seem to be having trouble with that. Hold on, just sorry about that. My ATG gun malfunctioned on me for a minute there. Okay, so I'm going to put I'm going to center the yellow, kind of high center it up at the top. And then what I'm going to do is I have this piece of 1/4 inch brown satin ribbon, and I'm just going to run a line of adhesive right at the bottom of that yellow piece of cardstock and just go straight across. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and get the back of my card ready to adhere to my piece of craft cardstock. And just now I'll just bring this ribbon around tight in the back. Again, bring this piece tight in the back. I think I'll trim that a little bit. It's a little bit longer than it needs to. I don't want to add a whole lot of bulk to the back of my card. And then I'll just put this right on. Again, eyeballing it and just center it right on the top. And then what I'm going to do is I also have one more set of stamps that I'm using. This is also from K. Andrew Designs. This is a scripture saying stamp. And the saying that I chose, or the scripture passage that I chose, is in everything give thanks in 1 Thessalonians 5:18. So I have that all set up and ready to go. And again, using the walnut stain color, I'm going to just ink that stamp up. And I'm going to center that right on the bottom. Because I'm using textured cardstock, I want to be sure and press extra hard so that, because this particular stamp I do want to show. So we're almost done here. So we're going to take our oak leaves and just adhere them to the card. Just kind of at an angle. And then to add just a little bit of extra dimension, what I decided to do with my maple leaf was to pop it up on some dimensional foam adhesives so that it'll give it just a little dimension, and it'll make that maple leaf stand out a little bit from the 2 oak leaves, and just you'll be able to see the difference between them. They won't all blend together as much this way. So I've been having a terrible time getting the plastic off of these little guys, but we'll just kind of center that right in the middle. And the last element to the card is I took this little piece of twine from the Twinery. This is in Cappuccino. And I have a little glue dot here. And we're just going to take this. I tied just a little bow with the Cappuccino twine. Here, fix my tail there. And we'll just adhere that right there. And we have our little thank you card. So it says, "In everything give thanks," from 1 Thessalonians 5:18, and then it says thanks in the middle. Now I wanted to show you a quick variation of the card. I realized that I had cut an extra maple leaf while I was done, so I made this little card that's about 4 inches by 4 inches. Very simple. Again, I used the Kay Andrew Design Scripture Saying set, only this time I have set the Lord before me, I shall not be moved, Psalm 16:8, and then I just inked the maple leaf just like I did on the thank you card, and then I just took a brown piece of ribbon. Now what I did with this particular piece of ribbon is I wanted it to go all the way around, so I ran adhesive actually on the ribbon itself on the front, and then back around, and then adhesive here so that it's firmly attached in the front, and then I hid the ends behind the leaf, because there's a little surprise on the inside when you open it. Tucked behind the ribbon in the back, I have a little gift card for the recipient of this card. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed making these fall cards. Keep checking back for more fall projects. Have a great day.